come on in, pull up a chair and take a load off, because today I'll be taking a first look and paging through Dungeons and Dragons, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And we'll be dipping our heads inside the cauldron right after this. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. So if this is your first time joining me, welcome aboard. Come on in, kick back, kick your feet up. Very, very casual around here. And of course, if you are a constant viewer or visitor to the Gaming Gang channel or thegaminggang.com, thank you very much for spending time with me again. As I mentioned in the open, I am going to be taking a first look at Dungeons and Dragons, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, in just a moment. But first, I do want to mention, if you end up liking this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because not only will it let you know when I upload videos such as this, it'll also inform you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube Monday through Thursday nights as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Lastly, stay tuned because I will share how you can win my copy of the alternate art cover for Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And I'll make it fairly easy. I'm not going to make you jump through a bunch of hoops in order to win my copy. All right, without further ado, we are going to be diving into Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It is for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons from Wizards of the Coast. This is going to hit stores on November 17th in the U.S. I do believe outside the U.S., because of COVID-19, there has been a delay. I think it's hitting stores there on December 1st. But here in the U.S., or at least in North America, I believe, it is going to hit stores next week. It clocks in at 192 pages and will carry an MSRP of $49.95. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here we've got Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I didn't move that far enough out of the shot. Duh. All right. So I know a lot of people are pretty pumped about this book. There are a lot of player-facing options, some new options, some new archetypes, player backgrounds. We've got the Artificer class that's being added. There's new spells, patrons. There's a lot going on in this book. So let's take a look at the back. Let's see what we've got here on the back. It says, "What wonderful witchery is this? The wizard Tasha, whose great works include the spell Tasha's Hideous Laughter, has gathered bits and bobs of precious lore during her illustrious career as an adventurer. Her enemies wouldn't want these treasured secrets scattered across the multiverse, so in defiance, she has collected and codified these tidbits for the enrichment of all. Baked into this book are rules options for all the character classes in the player's handbook, including new subclasses. Thrown in for good measure is the Artificer class, a master of magical invention. And this witch's brew wouldn't be complete without its new artifacts, spellbook options, spells for both player characters and monsters, magical tattoos, group patrons, and other tasty goodies. Tasha has never been shy about sharing her keen insights, and this book is sprinkled with the Archmage's musings on everything from her wizardly rivals to the nature of the multiverse. Herein she offers a taste of the great power that awaits adventurers everywhere. And of course, with great power comes great responsibility. So I understand some stuff has leaked from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I will mention, I don't know what's leaked from this book or not. I'm too busy working on other stuff, doing my live show, to have actually delved in to find out what exactly has leaked for the book. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to page through. We're going to kind of take a peek to see what this book has to offer. I am going to leave my hand over some areas of the pages and stuff like that, just because I got to be honest, the pirates out there, they resort to anything lately. So we will take a look here. So we've got the lead designer on this is Jeremy Crawford. We've got our illustrators here as well. One of the aspects of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons I always enjoy is the artwork. The artwork is always pretty damn good. So we've got our contents here. So we've basically got our index up front. So let's dive on in here. It's talking about using the book, what you're going to find. So chapter 1 brings new features and subclasses. Chapter 2 contains patrons. I'm interested in seeing what the patrons are like, because in Dungeon Crawl Classics, patrons are actually really cool. Pretty wild. So chapter 3 sparkles with new magical options. Chapter 4 holds various rules for the dungeon master. So I think there's also some puzzles in the book for dungeon masters to kind of drop on in to their adventures. So it's all optional. It's talking about this is all optional rules to be utilized. And then we've got some rules to remember. Number 10 is have fun. I would think that'd be number 1. Have fun. Have a good time. It's your game. Do what you want. So we get into the character options here, talking about customizing their origins. Here's the Artificer. That's some pretty cool artwork there. Talking about the class features, magical tinkering, spell casting, infusing items with magic, flash of genius, Artificer specialist, the right tool for the job. So these are various features, feats, basically, that are available depending on the level of the Artificer. Got some alchemical spells. Got the different subclasses as well for them. Oh, that's kind of cool. Artificer infusions. That's kind of cool. I like that artwork. It's my little flying teapot or cauldron. Actually, I think that's a flying cauldron. That's kind of funny. Kind of just flip on through. Okay, so now we're going to get some optional class features. So we've got the barbarian. We've got the bard. Dancing item. Cleric. And we got a good amount of page space devoted to each of these. It's not just one page sharing the new optional features. So we got some new druid spells. Well, that's kind of cool. Looks like a giant frog. I was going to say, it looks like that's a gnome, and it is. It says a gnome druid. That's kind of cool, too. All right. So tiefling druid, dwarf druid, the fighter. I have to say, as far as most fantasy role-playing games, I tend to play a paladin. That's what I usually play, even in like PC role-playing games. But fighters usually get kind of the short end of the stick as far as when you get higher levels, and especially compared to magic users. It's kind of funny to see that balance that a lot of these games, including Dungeons and Dragons, tries to make so that playing as a fighter or a fighting archetype is still as appealing at higher levels than magic users with like incredible magical powers. So we've got the monk. So an orc monk of the 4 elements. There we go. Speaking of paladins, we have sacred oaths. And we've got the ranger. Another class that I would usually play would be a ranger. It's normally a paladin, but I will do rangers. I've never, I got to be honest, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have ever played a magic user in a tabletop role playing game. And gosh, in what, 40 some years of playing? That's pretty wild. I don't know. I mean, I like magic users and stuff like that. I like having them in the party, but it's just not my style. All right, so we've got the rogues. Oh, that's cool. A phantom, tiefling phantom. Halfling soul knife. We got the sorcerer features as well. Sorcerer's origins. So we got a lot of player facing info here. This is nice. Of course, I will have a review of Tasha's Cauldron of everything. I'm going to do my best to have the review done before it hits stores in the US. Gotta admit, this did show up a little bit later than most Wizards of the Coast books do when they show up for a review. Normally, I've got about 2 weeks or so before the book comes out. I've got here less than a week. So I will do my best to get through this though. So we got the wizard optional classes. This is cool stuff. Then we got some feats. Group patrons. Here we go. How do patrons work? Oh, wow. I like that. I would take a guess that artwork is probably a little inspired by Strahd. Just kind of has that vibe to it, doesn't it? Just a little bit. All right, so we got perks and assignments. We get some example patrons as well. So an ancient being. Aristocrats. Criminal syndicates. Oh, a few pages devoted to that. Got guilds, military forces, religious orders, being your own patron. For some players, the idea of running a crime syndicate, mercenary company, arcane scholars collective, or other organization is far more exciting than working for someone else. I wholeheartedly agree. Now we've got some magical miscellany. It's got a magic mirror. So we've got some new spells. Summoning constructs, summoning celestial, summoning elementals, summon fae, summon fiend, summon shadow spawn, summon undead. Tasha's mind whip. Tasha's caustic brew. So we've got and Tasha's otherworldly guise. Personalizing spells. So I tend when I look at various game books for role-playing games, I sometimes mention other role-playing game systems. It's just me, you know. I do not run a website or YouTube channel that's devoted specifically to D&D. I don't. The personalizing spells, I love Dungeon Crawl Classics and the oddball stuff you can do where everybody's spell, even though it's kind of the same spell, is different. It just has a different visual aspect, or you can come up with all different ways that when you cast your spell, your fireball, how it's going to look compared to someone else casting a fireball, and what the effects are going to be the same, right? You're not going to have completely different sorts of spells. But I love the fact that you can personalize it. And I do dig how they're talking about that as well. We got magical tattoos. There's not a ton talking about personalizing spells, but that would be something as a dungeon master I would kind of look into a little bit. All right, so moving right along here. So this is still talking about tattoos, it looks like. Mighty Servant of Lako. That's kind of wild looking mechanical contraption there. So I was going to say, we've got a good amount of new magical info. So we've got some DM tools. Talking about session 0. To establish expectations, outline the terms of the social contract, share house rules. I don't know. I got to be honest. Well, okay. So session 0 it could be part of your character creation as well. So I guess your character creation could be considered a session 0. Although there are a lot of players, a lot of D&D players who love building their characters at home and bringing them with to the table and say, this is what I got. I happen to be a fan of rolling up characters as a group, because then you can kind of create a group dynamic there, kind of make sure that all the roles within the group are kind of covered. I appreciate that as well. So we are taking a look here. Sidekicks. Sidekicks are very different than henchmen or hirelings. Parlaying with monsters. This is something that I have been a huge proponent of all along. I am kind of an old school Renaissance role player, and I am an old school Renaissance game master. And I don't necessarily buy into the challenge ratings as far as, making sure that my encounters and adventures are balanced. So I love when clever players figure out ways to get past monsters, obstacles, things like that without the usual, well, let's just bash it. Let's just kill it. So I definitely love that. So we get a little information about parlaying with monsters here. So now we're getting into just the, environmental hazards. Okay. A tailor shop in a mirror zone. Okay. Talking about mirror zones there. Psychic resonance. Magical phenomena. Oh, wow. That's cool. Eldritch Storm. Enchanted Springs. Mimic colonies. Well, that'd be pretty wild. All right, here's puzzles. This is what I was talking a little bit about previously. Why use puzzles? It says puzzles provide exciting opportunities to use wit to overcome obstacles and allow characters to collaborate to make discoveries. You might add a puzzle to an adventure for any of the following reasons. And it goes through there. I am a huge fan of interactivity with the environment. I gotta be honest. When I run fantasy role-playing games, I don't have tons of traps. I will have traps in adventures, especially if they're doing a dungeon delve. But I don't go overboard with traps. But I love just having little kind of puzzles that they have to figure out. And there's usually a pretty good payoff if they're able to figure that out, if the players are able to figure the puzzle out. So I am also a big fan of kind of dangling things in front of the players, right? So it's like, all right, well, that looks like a lot of treasure there with those hobgoblins sleeping next to it. So are you going to push your luck to try and get some of that treasure? Maybe you'll wake those hobgoblins. You never know. And then that's when your players come up with the crazy plans that usually backfire, let's be honest, but they make the game so memorable. All right, so hint checks. I don't know about that. That is one aspect of modern fantasy role-playing games that I'm not a huge fan, especially when it comes to kind of dialogue, interacting with NPCs, where there's far too many players that just resort to, well, I'm going to make a persuasion roll, and they just roll a die and think, well, okay, that's going to be, pass or fail, succeed or fail. And when I run a game, any kind of discussion, anything that's up to chance, am I going to be able to convince them to let me through the door here, or can I finagle my way out of the city watch not taking us in? I have my players tell me what they're saying. Now, they don't have to completely, say verbatim, but they have to give me an idea of what they're trying to get across, as opposed to, I'm just rolling a die. All right, so talking about customizing puzzles, we got some handouts for puzzles. So we've got a few examples here. And that is 192 pages. Oh, this page is kind of glued together here at the back. Oh, well, that's all right. And, of course, no index, because we did have our contents up front. It is not an alphabetical index, unfortunately, but at least here you can take a look, see what you've got. All right, and that is everything in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So let's swing on over to the other camera. I will wrap up, and I will also tell you how you can win my alternate art cover of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I'm going to make it pretty easy. So essentially, what you have to do, number one, you have to be a subscriber to the Gaming Gang channel. You also have to comment on this video telling me what you look most forward to from the book. Maybe it's the player options, maybe it's some of the magic stuff, maybe it's patrons, maybe it's puzzles. Let me know, either as a player or as a dungeon master, what you're looking forward to taking from this book and using in play. I'm going to give you 2 chances. So essentially, as I already mentioned, I'm going to get my review video up as soon as I possibly can. So if you comment on this video, you're in the running, as long as you're a subscriber and you comment. On the review video, which let's say I get that up, let's say on the 16th of the month, you will also have an opportunity to comment on that video. So if you comment on my first look video here, as well as the review, that's going to be 2 entries into the contest. And on November 23rd, on my live show, The Daily Dope, I will announce the winner of my alternate art copy of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. There is one caveat I have to toss out there. I will pay for the shipping if you live in the U.S. If you live outside the U.S., you would have to pay for the shipping. So just letting you know, I'm more than happy to send this out pretty much anywhere in the world, but you would have to pay for the shipping. So sorry about that, but international shipping can be kind of pricey. All right, that is it for this episode. As I mentioned, stay tuned. I will have my review of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything for Dungeons and Dragons from Wizards of the Coast in the very near future. Once again, this is going to hit stores November 17th in the U.S., internationally December 1st, and it does carry an MSRP of $49.95. All right, so if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it will not only let you know when I upload videos such as this one, it'll also tell you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. All right, thank you very much for joining me today. And as I wrap up all my videos, unfortunately, during this never-ending pandemic, here's hoping all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.